Welcome. For those joining online, we'll get started here in
41 tests that need to be finished.
very shortly, actually momentarily. So I have up on the screen this slide. Go ahead and open up your computers and go to that web address. That's going to contain all the resources we'll need for today. tinyurl.com/G forms 12-9. That's what we call a customized back end for this URL shortener. And you can't do that anymore for free in Bitly. They won't let you. tinyurl.com. Megan. Yeah, so go ahead and get there. Like always, this session is recorded, and we will make it available on the Alcoa Connects Google Classroom, as well as the technology website linked from the district main page. Usually I get it posted about a day or two after the original recording. All right, tinyurl.com, and then the rest there. Okay, assuming everyone has pulled that up, we'll go ahead and get started. Lots to cover. And here is the document that we linked to. This is our resource document. And as you can see, there's a link there to the presentation slide deck, which is this slideshow here. And I'll go ahead and show the film strip here. This is actually another new feature in slides. It's not what I'm actually covering today, but they have this new hide and show film strip view. So this is useful if you're presenting and just want to move from one slide to the next without having the annoyance of your other slides be showing on the screen. So that's fairly new. But what I've done in this slideshow, just for your reference, I included a screenshot of all the skills that I'll be covering today. All right, you can access it at your own convenience. All right, so that's the slide deck. And then I have some other resources there. These are mostly from Google, the ones that you'll see up here. All right, some cheat sheets, getting started guides, of course, our agenda here, and then some supplements that we may or may not be using or accessing today. I would like everyone to go ahead and click on the link here to sample form media assets. If you do that, it's going to take you to a folder inside my Google Drive that contains some media elements that we'll be using in the form creation today. So I have some little buttons that I created in Canva, a little header image also created in Canva, which is actually going to be my next training session here next week. Then there's a math worksheet up at the very top there. So you could select everything by clicking the top item, going to the last one with the shift key that selects all. And then if you right click, you could choose download. That will put all the content in your downloads folder. It'll quickly zip it up. You can see it's zipping all these files. Then it's going to download, hopefully. You can also download the elements one item at a time. There it goes. Okay, and then if you're on a Mac, of course, you'll find that in your downloads folder. Just open up the zipped file and you'll have all of the elements we have located here on my drive. And I'm hoping that we'll finish up here shortly on mine. There we go. There it comes. So we'll say show in Finder. Here it is. It's a zipped file. And I'll just move that to the desktop for quick reference right now. Boop. And now I've got it. There's all my elements, okay? All right, anyone have trouble getting to that folder and accessing those resources?
I don't know how to download them.
Okay.
I've got them clicked. I just don't know where to go to download.
Okay, if you control click or right click, you'll see the option to download. So.
Okay, so first I have to shift them on, and then I go to control,
Mm-hmm.
click.
And then you should see a context menu appear that gives you the option to download.
Just says more.
Okay, let me come look there real quick.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay. Hey, we're all learning. We're learning, eh?
Okay. Now I've got it so big I can't even read it.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so it's all these. So if we change our view here, there we
Okay.
go. Now we can click the top one, shift,
Shift to the bottom.
right?
Okay.
And then if we control click,
Okay, perfect.
there's the download.
Download.
And I'll let you
Thank
click download.
Yes, thank you.
All right. All right, and we're back. All right, so that'll download in the background. We'll actually use those here in a couple minutes. We don't need them just yet.
Okay.
All right, so to begin a new form, and we'll just go through in order based on the items on our agenda. The way you start a new form is by going to forms.google.com, or you can do this through your Google Drive. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So if I'm in my Google Drive here, you can see by clicking the new button over here on the left, I have the option to start a Google Doc, slides, and then there's forms. All right. And then we would start with, in this case, we just do a blank form. Okay. So choose that option. Actually, I'm creating this in the shared folder. I don't want, I'll go ahead and do that. It's fine. And here it is. All right, the first thing that you'll want to do whenever you start, whether it's a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, or a Google Form, is to go ahead and name it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with lots of untitled stuff in your drive. You won't know what it is. Okay? So I will go ahead and do that. And we'll call this My Awesome Form. It is awesome. Okay? And when you title that, it should automatically title this area up here. So we have named the document now. Okay? Teachers will want to almost immediately after they start a document, dress it up and make it look pretty, add colors and things like that. All right, so the way we do that in Google Forms is by clicking the little Customize Theme button. It's right in between your extensions and your preview button. I have it right here. That's called a painter's, what do you call that thing? What is it? A palette. They hold it. Yeah. Bob Ross had one. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And you can see that what we can do is we can change the theme color. You can choose any one of these colors shown here. Or if you wanted to pick a custom color, just click the little plus icon. And then you can basically dial in the color that you want to use. Okay. And you drag your little slider over here to get the main base color there, and then just dial it in using that. And then if we click add, it adds it to our list of choices. All right. You can adjust the background color here. So it's going to take that color you chose and it's going to mix it in with a lighter version of it. And then of course, the other thing you can do is to change the font style. Basic is a pretty safe bet if we're concerned with readability. Playful sort of looks like it was done a couple decades ago when everyone was using Comic Sans in their documents. All right, and then decorative, that's a little too fancy for my taste. All right, so I'd say stick with basic, but you can certainly pick whatever you want. Now this is another thing that you can do. You can create your own custom image and upload it. So if we chose this option here, choose image, we're going to be able to pick from a number of themes created by Google. You can see they're divided up into different categories here. Work and school, illustrations, party, lots of different choices here. You can go to your photos folder and pick one of those, or you could upload your own. All right, so if I wanted to upload one that I created, I would choose that option. And then I would browse for it. Now I happen to know that there is one that I created on my desktop inside this folder here, and it's called Header. So if I want to use that, I'll simply choose it. You all should have this too now. All right. We'll click open. And there it is. Now at this point, you can crop it if you need to. And then when you're ready to go, just click done. Now when it downloaded those files there, Ms. Ambergy, it put it in a zipped folder. So you'll have to open that up first to access the content. There you go. All right, so there it is. All right. And you could create your header in a number of different programs. I mentioned Canva. There's also Google Drawings. You could even create it in Google Slides if you wanted to. Just download your slide as a PNG or JPEG, and then you could upload it. All right. Lots of ways to adjust that. One other thing I wanted to share with you was that I have a sample quiz. All right, so I'm going to skip back here for just a second. On that resource folder that I shared with you, just to the left of sample form media assets, there's a sample quiz. And if you click on that and then click it one more time, it'll ask to make a copy of a form that I did that has examples of all the different types of questions we'll be covering today. So you can go ahead and choose make a copy. It puts that in your drive, and then you can work from it. Yeah, so it's going to show you what a Google form looks like, where I've basically covered all the features that I've been talking about today. So that first question there, you can see that we have a question with image files attached to the answer choices. The second question is going to be an answer that when we click on it, it'll take us to another part of the quiz. We have another one here where we've got a video attached to the question. And this is to just serve as an example of the types of things that you can add to a Google form. All right, so perhaps you're a language arts teacher and you had a video clip that you wanted the students to be able to watch. You could simply add it here and then ask your questions underneath it, right? Here's a couple other different things that we can do, different types of question. This is a linear scale question. Here's a checkbox grid. This is great for ordering, right? I'll talk about response validation later. And then here's another option where I'm going to show you how to snip part of a worksheet that was a document or a PDF, and you can bring that right into your quiz. Okay, so you have a copy of this now, and you can see exactly how I put it together because you're an editor and you've owned it. Okay. All right, so let me get back to my awesome form, and let's see how we do some of this stuff. All right. So first thing you want to do is start with that first question. All right, so Google Forms makes that first question for you, and it's right here. And you'll notice that there's a little handle at the very top of the question, six little dots. And if you have more than one question, you're going to be able to move it around, right, and change the order. All right, so think of that as the handle. So let's go ahead and type out a question here. It says untitled question, simple math question. What is 5 plus 5? Question mark. Okay. So you can see we have the question entered. Then over here on the right, we have the ability to choose what type of question we want it to be. All right. Very simple. Multiple choice, check boxes, drop downs. If I know that folks are going to be accessing the quiz or form on a mobile device, I'll choose the drop down option. That seems to make more sense. Works better on those. You'll notice there's also a file upload option. So here's a scenario. You have a student take a math test. They make their choices, but then you want them to show their work. They could upload a photo of the work that they did where they scribbled down all that stuff. They upload it, and then you can see how they arrived at those answers. All right, and you can see some of the other options there too. There's also a short answer and paragraph. Okay. I'll go ahead and add some answer choices here, and you can do the same. So 10 will be my first one, 12, and 15. All right, so I haven't turned this form into a quiz yet. When I do, I'd be given the option to go ahead and choose what is going to be the correct answer or correct response. All right. All right, so you'll notice now at the very bottom of the question, you have a few icons. You have this one, which is duplicate. All right, so that'll make an exact copy of this question. You also have delete, represented by the trash can. Then you also have this option to toggle it between being a required question or one that they can skip over, okay? If you want them to answer every question, of course, you want to make sure that is toggled on, right? And then if you click that little more icon there, where represented by the 3 dots, you'll see that you could enter a description, go to section based on answer. We'll talk about that in a second. And shuffle the option order, which is useful. That way, if they're sitting close together, you know, little Johnny's number 1 is going to be different than Susie's, right? So that could be useful as well. All right. Let's continue. All right. You also have the ability to create new sections, and the way we do that, your little toolbar over here on the right, the very bottom icon lets you add a section. So if we choose that, you can see it says untitled section. You just give your section a name. Okay. So you can sort of think of a section as a container that holds all your questions. And if you're going to have a quiz or form set up where certain answers will take you to different parts of the form, you have to use sections. All right, so that's why we would do this here. All right, so it's really easy to create these sections. And then if you have several of them and you need to move them up or down, you just click here, and then you can choose the move, delete, merge with the above, or duplicate the section. All right. Okay. To add a description to a question, we'll go back up here to that first question that I created. We'll click inside it. Again, you're going to click on your dots and then just choose description. Adding a description is useful if you want to provide more clarification in terms of what you're asking. All right, so like if you asked, what is your name? You could say example, and then your first name and last name. So know exactly what you're looking for there. Right, so that's how I would use the description. Okay. Let me look at this other one here. So I have a question that says, what are the 3 primary colors? So let's add a new question here in section 1. The way we do that, look at our toolbar over on the right, and we can choose add question. All right, so let's do that. All right, I'm just going to enter what are the 3 primary colors. Okay. What are the 3 primary colors? Okay. So I have several color choices. I'm going to go ahead and add some here. So I'll say red. My next color choice will be blue, green, all right, and then yellow. And one more. I'll make it black. All right. Now you notice whenever you enter a choice, you have this little icon over here. See, that's going to allow you to attach an image to it. All right, so if I wanted to use a color, in this case it's a circle that's red, I would click add image. Then I'm going to browse for the file. You can look through your Google Drive if you have them there, or if it's on your computer, just click browse, and I'm right here in the same directory I was a minute ago. And what did I say, red? I think I was on red. It'll upload that. And there it is. See how easy that was? All right. The only option you have here once you've uploaded an image is to delete it. Okay. So not a whole lot there. All right. Now, if you wanted to add, in the case of this question here, you see I have an example. If you wanted to add a video, what you're going to have to do is something else. So let me show you how we did that. All right, first I'm going to go back to the that folder that has the link to the YouTube video, and I'm going to get that. Here it is. Let me copy that. This is a hilarious video. It's Medieval Help Desk with subtitles. You'll need to watch it. It's very funny. Come back here. Here we are. All right. To add the video, on your little menu over here on the right, you're going to see this, add video. Looks like a little YouTube button. All right. And you can search through YouTube right here, or if you already know the URL, you can just paste it in here and it'll pull it right up. All right. If you want to preview it there, you can. We'll go ahead and select it. And here it is. Now you'll notice mine is actually a little larger than that. Well, here's how we made that happen. If we click on it, you'll see that little handles appear. See that? And you can enlarge it. Okay. Your more option here is going to allow you to align it to the left, to the right, center it, and then of course remove it if need be. I like the videos to take the full width of the question area. So that'll work. Okay, that's how you add a video. Really simple. Any questions? Any of this? All right. Go to a section based on answer. Now, I've already shown you how to create sections, right? So if I go back to this example form that I made for you, you'll see that in this question here, what type of question would you like to answer next? If I click inside there, you're going to see these options. Go to a certain section. And the way we turn that on and to where we have the ability to go to a different section is right down here. At the very bottom of the question, you're going to see the option to go to a section based on the answer. When you've chosen that option, then beside every question, you're going to be given the option to choose one of the sections that you created. Very simple. Okay. So if I was to preview this form, and I'm going to do that right here. Let me preview it. So I'm going to go through the first question here. What are our three primary colors? Do we know? What is it?
Blue, yellow.
Blue, yellow, and red. There we go. I got three chosen. All right. Here's my go-to section question. What type of question would you like to answer next? I'm going to say a checkbox grid. All right. So if I click next, look at where it takes me, where I wanted to go. Okay. So in this case, this is an ordering question. I want them to put the events in a sequential order. All right. So first event, man lands on the moon. Okay, I'm going to say that. You also notice that this little red indicator appears here, and that goes to something called data validation. So they cannot submit their answer unless this condition is satisfied. That's an option that we choose. All right, so let me go ahead and answer all of them, and then that'll go away. The second event has got to be this one, this one, this one. Now I can move forward. Okay. Okay. And this is actually another response validation question here. In this case, it requires them to enter a valid website address. So if they just typed in Yahoo and ended it at that, it would say, nope, this isn't valid. All right. Here's how we do that. All right. If we're looking at this, the questions here, and here it is. It's in section 5, response validation. Enter the web address of your school. If we click in that question, you'll see that response validation is selected. With it selected and with it checked, because this is a fill in the blank question, our options are to make sure that it is either a number, text, length. So if you want to require that they type a certain number of characters, there you go. They can't submit it unless that's been satisfied. Or a regular expression. This is a little more complicated. I'll maybe save that for another training. But if it is text, you can see that there are some subconditions there where it contains a certain word, doesn't contain, it's an email address or a URL. And then you could compose an error message, maybe saying, hey, fix this, put it in this format, so on and so forth. Okay? Make sense? All right. All right. Very good. So let's show you how to convert a form to a quiz. All right. This is very, very easy to do. All you have to do is click on the settings option inside of forms. All at the top there, you see questions, responses, and settings. And there's an option right there at the top. Just turn it on. Make this a quiz. Okay. You can see there's some additional options there that you can configure, right? The default question point value, you can set that. You can always change it manually after you've entered your questions. You have the option to decide on how your responses are handled. And this is a mistake some teachers have made when they were first learning about forms. They didn't require email addresses be collected. So they sent the form or the quiz, and then they didn't know who took it. Okay, so you can, to identify who's taken it, if you do it through Classroom, it's going to collect that anyway. All right, so this was before people were using that heavily. So a surefire way to make sure you know who it's coming from is to check collect email addresses. You could also add a required question that asks for their name. Yeah. Okay. If you don't want them to take it more than once, you want to make sure that you limit it to one response. So you would check that. And if you don't want it available outside of our organization, choose this option, restrict to users in Alcoa City Schools. All right.
And
So
that's the automatic default.
that is,
setting? Okay.
that is, yes. Okay. All right. So if I go back to this one here, I actually already, I already had this set up as a quiz, but I'm going to show you now how you can set your right and wrong answers. Okay. So it's going to be.
Do you do that first before you change it to a quiz, or do you?
I make it a quiz. That's a good question. Go ahead and at the very beginning, make it a quiz.
Make it a quiz?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've made it a quiz, you can see this particular question here. It asks, and then only one of these is the correct one. So at the very bottom of the question, you'll see the link to the answer key. All right. And so, and again, this is the copy of the quiz that you all have made, if you're not seeing the same thing I am. So if I click the answer key, see what it looks like. All I have to do is just check the one that's right. And also in this section, I can determine how many points I want this question to be worth. So you want to make sure that all your point totals add up to 100. All right. Maybe if it's a tougher question, you want to make it weighted a little bit more. You have that option here.
But 100 is what everything has to
Well,
add
it's
to.
just, I think it makes it easier. It's easier for me if I know, 100. And then plus, in order for this to pull in the grades automatically, put them in your Google Classroom gradebook, and then sync to Skyward, you have to be using a gradebook that is set up based on total points.
Okay.
So I just find it easier this way. Yeah. Okay. And you can see here, this is a useful teaching tool as well. Add answer feedback. So after they submit their responses, they're going to see what they got right and maybe what they missed, why it was wrong, or why it was correct. You have the option to manually type in some feedback there, or you could also provide a link to more information or a video, maybe a video that you yourself recorded and posted to YouTube, right? And I think it was, I'm trying to think which question I actually put that feedback on. I think it might have been this one. So if I go to the answer key, yeah, I put under feedback, I actually linked to a YouTube video where they could learn all about the primary colors. Okay. Okay. Or we're moving pretty quickly here. And hopefully you're understanding by this time that it's not very difficult to put this together. All right, so let's talk about responses, when they come in, what it looks like. All right, so if I click the responses tab, you're going to see, in this case, I don't have any responses because I didn't send it out to anybody. If I swipe over here to another account I have, hopefully I'll be able to find a quiz where there were some responses. Again, none. Hold on, I'll find one. Oh my goodness, how frustrating. Chapter 1 quiz, let me go there. Oh, I got 5 responses. Okay, so there's 5 responses there. So if we click on the responses tab, you can see that you can view the responses, a whole summary of them, and it'll give you a little graph of what those look like. These are all fake accounts, by the way. I'm not violating anyone's privacy. You can break it down by question, okay, or by individual, so you can see exactly what they missed. All right. So that's useful. You can also print these records if you want to, get a hard copy. You also have the option to totally delete all the responses. Maybe they did so terrible. We're just, forget this. We're going to start from scratch. I'm getting rid of these. Yeah. Okay. Now, you also have the option to create a spreadsheet that contains all of these as well. Once they're in a spreadsheet, you can do some other things with them. So the way you do that is just click this icon here, create spreadsheet, and it will create a new spreadsheet. The title will be based on the name of the quiz, and it'll put it in your Google Drive. Okay, just by clicking create. If you click your more button here, you'll see the option to download your responses, print them all, delete all responses there. This is a nice option here, get email notification for new responses. So if you want to know the moment somebody has submitted a form, you can see that. You can just check that there. Okay. Printing a quiz. Maybe you've created a quiz in Google Forms and you want to go old school, for maybe as a backup in case the Chromebooks go down and you want to hand them a hard copy. This could be useful. What you're going to do is make sure that you are on the questions tab, then click on your more option here and then choose print. When you do, see what's going to happen is it's going to give you the quiz with the answer choices that they could bubble in. Looks really nice. Okay. All right, let me swap back over here to my other quiz. All right, so you'll notice in this last question here in section 5, response validation, I added the question, but this actually uses a graphic that I put in there. Now this is actually a snipping of a picture that was taken from a worksheet, right? Now I'm going to show you how we did this. All right, but first I'm going to delete this or remove it, and I will start from scratch. So this question I'm going to get from, it was originally a PDF. I've converted it into a PNG file. So what I need to do is just minimize my browser real quick, and I'm going to open up the folder containing the worksheet. Here it is right here. Let me just pop that out, and then I'll double click on it to open it up. That's interesting. Okay, should pull it up in preview. So here we are. Here's the original worksheet, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on it. All right. and move it over here. And if it's going to let me, there we go. So basically what you do is you frame the question that you want. And then we know the keyboard shortcut for doing a screenshot. It's going to be Command-Shift-4, right? So if we do that, Command-Shift-4, it's going to give me my little target, right? And then I just simply select the question. See how I'm doing that? And as soon as I do that, look at how easy this is. It's going to take that snippet and it's going to put it in a ping format right there on my desktop. Okay, and there it is. All right, it says screenshot, and then it has the date and time listed on it. All right, so then let me come back to my form. There's the question. I'll just click the little image icon. Okay, I'm going to browse for it. It's on my desktop. You're right there with me. Screenshot. Boom. How easy was that? Yeah? Super simple. Okay. All right. So, moving on. We're doing really good here. This training session was all about streamlining things and using Google Forms and Classroom. Next, we're going to pivot over to Google Classroom. So I've got another tab loaded up here. There's a couple ways you can get your quiz into Google Classroom. You can go to the classwork page and you can create, right from Google Classroom, a quiz assignment. All right, that's one way to do it. If you already have the form created, you would just choose assignment. All right, and you give it a name. And then type in your instructions, right? Go to your Google Drive. Find the form. Okay. Choose insert. All right. Now this is important. Don't miss this step. You need to make sure that grade importing is toggled on. If this is off and then you create the assignment, there's no way for you to go back and do it. So you got to do it first thing on this back end here. All right. So I'll go ahead and choose assign. All right. It will post it. People can see it in the stream. Now everybody's getting notifications that I should have thought twice before I did that. But then when we click on the assignment, here's what it looks like. All right. People will take the quiz. The grades will come in, and then all I have to do is click import grades, and boom, there it is. Once the grades have been imported, then, and I'm going to go back to my presentation, because I'm not an actual teacher in the system, I don't have the option to see a gradebook in Skyward. So I can't actually demo this. However, if I go to Google Classroom and I click on the, let me come back here. I click on the gear, you'll see down here under General, there's the option to link Google Classroom to Skyward. All right, so if you haven't done that, choose that option, link to class. It will see your account, and then you simply click link. All right, it's going to be right there. Mine, obviously, it's not visible, again, because I don't have a classroom in Skyward. But once that link is made, then all you have to do is you get your grades imported. And then I think I have it. Let me go down a few here. I think I did a screenshot of it. Yeah, there's the import grades option. Yeah, then inside your gradebook, in Google Classroom, you'll see a button that says SIS Export. Okay, Student Information System. All right, so you're looking inside your Google Classroom gradebook, and after you've connected Google Classroom to Skyward, you'll see the option to export your grades. All right, now I have detailed instructions on how to make that connection, as well as a step-by-step video of that in action, how it all flows together. And that is actually linked from our doc resource page right here. I have got the instructions here. That's a support document. And I think one of these, yeah, the second one, how to sync grades with Google Classroom. That's a video that walked you through it. Okay. And that's the one thing about this particular topic that I wish I had the ability to do, show you from start to finish, but because of my role, I don't have that. Okay. So be sure to watch that if you need further clarification. Okay, we've already talked about responses. Last thing, how do we send our forms to people? Well, if you're using Google Classroom and you've set this up as a quiz, you just put it in your assignments. But if you wanted to share this with someone else, you're just going to simply click the send button. You can email it to them directly. Just type in their email address there. If you want the form to be included inside the email, you just check that option. All right. There's the link over here that you could copy. You can even shorten it. And maybe if you wanted to put the form on your teacher webpage, you're given the embed code right here, and you can copy that and put it on there. All right. And if I go to, I can show you an example of that. If I go to the high school webpage and go to links, announcement, submission. Okay. You can see here an example of an embedded Google form right here. So basically I took that code that Google Forms gave me and I inserted it here inside of Edlio. And if you want to know how to do that, I can quickly and easily show you how that's done. Sounds like you have a question about that, or okay. All right, very good. That covers everything I wanted to today, and we are right on time. I've got a couple minutes left that I can use for if anybody has any questions, but before we officially end, we want to make sure we generate our certificates for ourselves if you have attended either in person or online. So go back to the resource document, click training completion form, and then one more time. And it'll take you here. Just go ahead and fill it out. Enter your name, today's date, session title for today is how to create self-grading quizzes with Google Forms. And then submit that, and you'll receive a PDF certificate in your email in about 30 seconds. Yeah. All right. Thank you for all those who viewed this online. I'm going to go ahead and stop my recording. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, tlarson@alcoaschools.net. You're welcome, Ms. Doherty. Thank you for joining today. And hope to see you at the next training. Bye, everyone.